Welcome everyone to the green screen workshop. So we're just going to be going over some basic fundamentals of how to do it, just so everyone has a bit of a refresher. This is an example of episode 7, um, where I went ahead and green screen just to do a test, and this is what it looks like. So this is hopefully what everyone's end product will look like. We're still, I think, finalizing the background, but essentially you'll have a background and a person. Um, when you play it, it plays out. Um, and it looks as if the person was, recorded in front of it. That's what the whole green screen is about. So the way the green screen works is, as you'll see here, this is the source clip, and a person is filmed in front of a green screen. That's hence the name green screen. Um, and what you do is essentially you isolate this color layer in the background, and you tell the software to sort of remove it. So what I will do here is, let's open this one up, close this, and then we'll start sort of from scratch here. So what you do is first, you set up your project as you normally do with any other edit, and you drag in, your raw file, the file that you want to green screen. Now, the way it'll work for most of your projects is you'll have many clips. You can, since they've all likely been filmed in very similar lighting conditions, as in they were all filmed at the same time, what you can do to streamline your process is sort of drag all the projects in and apply the frames or the effect to them sort of at once. So, you would, if you had the multiple clips, you could put them end to end and apply the following effects simultaneously. So the first step is you have to find the actual keying effect, and it's called Ultra Key in Premiere Pro. So if you spell Ultra correctly, it will come up, and essentially you drag and drop. Now that it's on there, nothing happens because we haven't set the parameters for the key yet. So you'll go into here, and then you'll open your effects controls tab here. Now, you'll notice here that the green screen is crinkly and it's uneven. Ideally, when you're filming in front of a green screen, you want it to be lit evenly so that it can be removed properly, and it's one step. But in cases like this, it becomes a little more challenging, but it's definitely something that could be easily worked around. So the main effect that we're going to be focusing on is this Ultra Key effect here that you see in the Effect Controls tab. What you're going to do is you go here where it says Key Color, you press the eyedropper, and you select the green color. And you're like 90% done. You'll see that most of the green is gone. You see that the wrinkles in the green screen remained. And we'll go over how to sort of work and make that better. So essentially, if your green screen is perfect, this will be 90% what you need to do. You click it, the background's gone, and your clip is basically good to go. But to sort of clean this up and make this look really good, we'll do the following steps. So the first thing you want to do is sort of add a mask. And what that does is it, because the color on this part of the clip is slightly different from the color in this part of the clip and this part of the clip, what will happen is when you're fine-tuning your adjustments, you'll often get times where some parts of the picture, the background, have been completely removed and some aren't. So to make it easier on yourself and not have to focus on this whole background, you'll go into your opacity, which is for that clip. You can click on this pen tool here and begin creating sort of just a rough mask around the person. Now, with what we're editing, the good thing is that most of the hosts don't move much. So you can make a mask that's very close to them. So you'll see here that just by adding that mask, you've eliminated most of sort of the wrinkle. Now, as you buffer through here, you'll see this auntie, she puts her hands out, right? So now her hand's been cut. So what you'll have to do whenever you make a mask is sort of scrub through your clip, make sure you're not sort of, cutting out any important parts of the clip. And what you do is you just go there, as we're doing right now, and extend those points that you've made, right? And you can just sort of fine tune it, whatever. Of course, pay a little bit more attention when you're doing this for your edits, right? So you have that mostly done. So that's your mask created. Now what you're going to do is you'll go back into here, and to really make your green screen key look a lot better, you go into your Ultra Key effect here, and then in your output, select the alpha channel. What this does is it sort of inverts the mask, and it shows you some more of the fine areas of the mask. Now, what you want is essentially what this is showing you, that everything in white will be shown. So you'll see that, if I go back, you see, I think her name is Sucker Auntie. You see Sucker Auntie, but you go into alpha channel, you see the white color. And that shows that, oh, this bit of Sucker Auntie will be visible. Now, it also shows that these wrinkles are visible. So we really want to remove that. So what you're going to go into here is matte generation. And you play with these parameters. So the transparency parameter, I think, is the first parameter you play with. And you sort of adjust it. No, this is not the one. My apologies in that cleanup. No, that is your matte generation. So what you'll do here is you just try to play with these settings until you can remove most of that background fuzz. And there we go. So just by playing around with those 4 or 5 settings you saw right in front of you, you have sort of everything in the background taken care of. So you just adjust those settings, and then when you go back into your composite, you'll see that you have a very clean mask. Those of you who are a little more detail oriented will notice that, hey, there's a little bit of green still in her hair and whatnot, right? So what we can do to further clean that up is, let's zoom in, and you see in some parts there's still the mask is cut very close to her. What you're getting here is sort of on her shoulders called green spill. That's essentially the light that's bouncing off the green screen is bouncing onto Sakuranti, and the green is interfering. So for this, what you do is you go into spill correction, and you go to the desaturate item, and you sort of bring this value as low as you can without removing, or rather, sorry, you bring the value up without removing much of the color in Sakuranti. So let's see what we can do here. How much can we fix? Let's pull that up. Play with this parameter. And to make sure that, to help you see, you can go into composite or into the alpha channel and better fine tune these little details. And then when you go back into your composite layer, you'll see it's looking a little bit better. And you can sort of zoom out and you have sort of Sakuranti keyed out. Now at this point, what you do is you lift the video layer up one, so it's on the top, and then you bring in your background. So we have this background. We'll put together a proper PNG and share that with you guys. What I did for the clip you saw is essentially took the background, layered it multiple times, and just put it beside each other to make it larger, because the background I have right now, it's just this little square, but I'll show you. If I drop it here, you see, oh, wow, mashallah, there's a background behind her. That wasn't there. By putting this background, you see here that the bottom of Sakuranti is kind of cut off. That means the mask wasn't done properly. So you can go back into the effect controls, go back to where your mask was and sort of adjust that. Pull those markers down, and then click away. You'll see, oh, she's back. Of course, once she's keyed out, you can literally put any sort of video behind her. Like, say you have, a video of like animals in the wild. You take a little clip of that. You throw that behind her. And then, Sakuranti's now talking in front of a lion. And there's a rhino. You can really do anything now with this. You can, change the size of the person on your screen here. So you go to, you select this and you change the scale, and all of a sudden you can, change the size and position of the person. So if you have a different background, it's a bigger room, you can position the person so it looks, it adds some depth, it adds some flair to what you're editing. And those are essentially the steps. So, you add your Ultra key, you select the color of the mask from the background, you play around with the matte generation settings here. It's mostly the pedestal and transparency that'll get you what you need. You cut out most of the background using the mask, and you're basically good to go. There's a spill suppression, there's a matte cleanup. You can play around with each of those little values and see what it does for you. And if it helps you out, the color correction one also helps with the removal of the green spill. You know, you can see that looking a little bit better there where her hair is. But again, you just play with that and your key is done. Now, the only thing is that it gets tedious, as I mentioned, to do it for every single clip. So I did it for this one clip of Sakranti. Now, if I go here, I have to do it again and again. To save you time, what you want to do is once you've created your mask on your first clip, you know, you can go here, you can select your Ultra key, you can copy it, you go into your other clip that has not been keyed, you right click, and you paste, and voila, your exact mask with all the same parameters has been pasted. And then you're ready to go for your next clip. And then you can do this over and over again, and then that way you don't have to adjust the green screen every time. So you can spend more time perfecting your key on the first clip, and then apply that key to all of the other clips in your edit. That's essentially it. We will be sharing with you guys the actual background, official background that we need to put on behind, and you know how to green screen now. If anyone has any questions, need some clarifications on anything?
No, this has been great. Thanks, Ali. Yeah, I learned a lot. Definitely.
That's great.
So people who use Final Cut Pro, what about them? I mean, I know how to do it, but I'm just saying that.
Then you have to switch over to Premiere, like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's essentially it. Actually, no, there was one more thing that we could do. And forget how to do it, but we can troubleshoot it together. Just to add a little bit more flair to your green screen here, I just remembered. Let me share my screen again.
How about iMovie?
For editing on iMovie and doing this great of a job, you need to be teaching this seminar.
Actually, I use Windows Movie Maker as well.
There we go. That explains why your edits come out that way. So
Movie Maker's the best. Got me through middle school, guys.
Got me through elementary school.
Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm pasting it on the same layer. No. So once you're done your key, you can copy paste that same clip of Sakranti, or if you're not doing Sakranti, you're not doing Sakranti, but whoever you're editing, and you can, how do you move them over? Like you can move them over. Let's move her. Also, you can do a bunch of fun stuff like, oh look, there's a Sakranti behind a Sakranti. But if you move them slightly over, and then how do we change the color? I don't know there we go. Yeah. So if you go duplicate the video layer, move it slightly to the right and go under the color correction tab, decrease illuminance, there's a bit of a shadow. You can then go up into the opacity here and make that shadow look like a real shadow. So you bring it down, it's like, oh, look at that, there's a shadow behind Sakranti. So when she moves, the shadow moves, and it adds a little bit of depth. It's like, oh, it looks so much nicer, and it's not a detail people will actually notice realistically. They won't notice if it's not there, but it's something that really takes your edit and your work to a higher level, because it's like that lower level, like, oh, that looks nicer. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's the presence of that little shadow. So again, to do that, you just duplicate the same video. You drag it layer below, and then you move it to the right. You position it like you would expect a drop shadow to look like. You remove all the color by decreasing the luminance, and then you make it see-through a little bit, and then it looks like a real shadow. Add some depth to your shot. Is that kind of clear to everyone? I know I kind of came up with that and just blew through it, but everyone's quiet, so I'm assuming that's a good thing. Yeah.